What's going on, guys? So this is an exciting announcement. I am officially launching the first pilot of a program that I hope will absolutely sweep and dominate the RV industry as a whole and make things better for the entire community. Make RVs better, more reliable, more confident, inspiring when people plan on towing them. So let's talk about it real quick. Hang tight. I'll be right back. All right, so before I made the last video talking about this subject and my call to action for RV manufacturers to improve quality, and not just improve quality, but improve the process that customers go through whenever they have a problem. Because inevitably, even if you make the best quality RV out there, components can still fail, parts can still have problems, customers can still have issues. And exploring and understanding how manufacturers and dealers can step up to help customers in a more practical, more meaningful, and more assurant way, I think is one of those things the entire industry needs and customers have been asking for a long time, because there's a negative perception when it comes to RV service. Again, not with every dealership, and you can even see in the comment section of that video where a lot of people have called out brands that they've had really good success with. So read those comments and kind of understand that this isn't an issue that plagues everybody, but it is definitely one that I think most people think needs to be improved in the industry as a whole. So before I made that video, though, I started brainstorming on answers, because I don't just want to complain. I don't just want to call manufacturers to make change without understanding what that change should look like. So I started thinking about some of the other processes that are in place with other types of industries to kind of hold them accountable, to make a better product, to improve their product. And in order for companies to continuously be recognized for making improvements, they have to demonstrate it. And that demonstration equals products that are better for you all. So I think that the same thing could happen in the RV industry. And part of this pilot program is to, again, give RV manufacturers a path towards improving. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to apply to every unit they build. I wish it would, but I also understand the limitations of turning this huge ship around, right? The RV manufacturing industry is very set on processes that they have in place. They are very set on their assembly line process and how people are trained. And it takes time to make changes to that. And I get that. And there's no way that they can just simply flip a light switch and make changes overnight. That said, I'm under no illusion that this is something that's going to be challenging for some manufacturers, and it could drive the price up on some RV units. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully they can find a way to integrate this and keep the price the same. You know, I think of a lot of other industries that have not gone up in price and not gone crazy, but they've constantly innovated, like the mountain biking world, right? Those prices haven't skyrocketed, but you're still seeing a lot of constant innovation. And I think the RV industry can probably do some of that itself. So this is basically what we're kicking off. Again, this is a pilot, and hopefully I can get RV manufacturers involved and I can get some of them willing to implement these changes as soon and as quickly as possible in some of their newer floor plans. First of all, the name. And this is the Big Truck Big RV, or the BTBRV Operation RV Star. So similar to like Energy Star, where they have to constantly make improvements in terms of efficiency every year, this is kind of similar, but for the RV industry. And we're going to call this RV Star. I don't know if that will ultimately be the long-term name, but we are going to work on a good name for it. And essentially what that is the goal is to have the RV manufacturers demonstrate continuous quality improvements through accountability. That's been the number one thing we've heard from people time and time again, is who holds them accountable. And if there's no process, if there's no demand that every year something gets better, then they're probably not going to do things that way. They're just going to continue doing things how they do it. And they might innovate in certain areas. They might change the color. They might add, a better stove, a better microwave. They might do things like that, maybe ABS. They may do things like that gradually, but it's very difficult unless they're really pushed to innovate. And this is one of those processes that not just pushes them, but the incentive they get is the fact that customers will specifically be looking for units they produce that meet this RV Star criteria. So, the requirements. RV manufacturers who wish to be part of the program must demonstrate 5 significant quality improvement upgrades year over year. What does that mean? If they decide to implement 5 this year, for them to continue to be part of the program and continue to have RVs that qualify, they have to do 5 more next year, and then 5 more the following year, which means in 3 years they have to have 15 significant improvements in terms of quality. Now, these improvements must directly impact the build quality, the overall longevity of the RV's superstructure, chassis, electrical, plumbing, fit and finish, and ability to stay together while being towed under normal circumstances. So these can't just be cosmetic changes, right? The RV manufacturers must also demonstrate at least one major customer care improvement each year to maintain their standing. So they have to improve how they deal with customers, what they do to deal with customers. That's going to be a major part of it. Again, cosmetic and aesthetic improvements will not factor in unless they can be proven to meet the criteria outlined above first. So what does that mean? That means if somebody puts a fiberglass roof on their RV and it both demonstrates an improved quality of product as well as looks better, then that qualifies. But if somebody just throws prettier looking wheels, or they throw a better looking window, or they throw new cabinets that just look better, but they don't actually improve the quality of the RV, if they don't actually improve its ability to maintain its structure while being towed, if it doesn't show an actual quantifiable improvement in terms of the overall quality and longevity of the RV, then that's not going to count. So manufacturers who are constantly doing interior design upgrades, changing the furniture, the way it looks, things like that, none of that stuff is going to count unless that stuff directly improves the quality of the RV. Let me give you an example. Like, we always talk about how wiring is ran through RVs. We know Brinkley does wiring harnesses, but not all manufacturers buy into a specific need for a wiring harness. And I understand that. If you think about it, a wiring harness is simply a bundle that is kind of mapped and routed to specific areas. But if a manufacturer takes the step of cleaning their wires up, maybe putting some type of loom over the wire, zip tying wires, bundling them, making them ran in a way that is cleaner, more efficient, and safer, well, then that is an improvement, and it's also a cosmetic improvement. And an example of that would be a manufacturer who says, I don't want to use a wiring harness because you kind of take away some of the ability to diagnose color-coded wires and get to them because they're all hidden in bundles. And if those looms, if the wiring harness itself disguises the wire and I can't get to it, well, that might be something that a manufacturer says we don't want to do. So if a manufacturer does color coding wiring right now, which makes things easier to trace, but then they decide to loom the wire and zip tie the wire so it's bundled up, it looks cleaner, it's not scattered everywhere, well, that is a quantifiable improvement in terms of quality, and it also looks better. So that meets the criteria for cosmetics, and it also meets the criteria for actually improving the quality, the longevity, and the safety factor of towing it down the road. So that's just one example. But this is a program that I'm just kicking off. I don't know where it's going to go without groundswell support from viewers and from other content creators and from forums and folks who are out there to actually see this improvement take place. From a financial perspective, manufacturers cannot pay to be part of this program. There's no financial aspect to where a manufacturer can pay an influencer or pay the program or buy out the program so they can get a sticker or a pass or approve a unit. This is not specific to an entire manufacturer's line of units. So for example, if X brand says that we want only 1 out of the 10 models to meet this criteria, that's totally fine. But that one model will be the only one that is approved and will get the certification for meeting this criteria. The other models won't. If a manufacturer says we want to do our entire line of RVs and we want every one of them to meet that criteria, well, that's amazing. That is what we're hoping for. But we also understand that not all RV manufacturers are successful with every floor plan that they create. And if they start pumping a lot more money into floor plans that don't sell, well, that's financially going to kill them. That's going to put them in a situation where they just can't afford to continue to operate because, or even stay in the program, because if every floor plan has to meet that criteria and you have a floor plan or several floor plans that are super slow sellers, then you're going to be pumping a lot of money into improvements into RVs that just don't sell. So I also understand and get that manufacturers may only want to select certain floor plans. But here's the key. Just like, RV manufacturers like to say, this year's best floor plan award winner, and they'll specifically mark a unit that won some type of an award for being the best or most innovative floor plan. This is how they would also treat those units. If they make 10 current floor plans and 2 of them are super, super high sellers, and they want to make sure that those 2 meet this criteria, well then good, that's great. But it's going to be up to the manufacturer on how many of their units they want to meet this criteria, and the criteria only carries on the next year if they make the additional 5 improvements plus the 1 customer service improvement for the following year as well. So this is one of those things where it's a year-over-year improvement. This is not a scenario where they can qualify it for 1 year and have that same standing carry over to the next year model unless they've made additional improvements to the following year model. Now, why is this good for the entire industry? It's great for the entire industry because when you are looking for a specific type of an RV and you want it to meet certain criteria for safety enhancements for what they're doing to make it safer, better, longer lasting, you're specifically going to look for manufacturers with units that meet this criteria. But not only do they have to meet it, but they have to demonstrate what they've done publicly to meet the criteria. They have to say these are what the 5 innovations are, and those 5 innovations have to be approved. Now, in terms of vetting that approval, this is where this is still in a pilot phase. I could always look at what they're saying they're doing. We talk about it, we publicize it, but at the same time, you may look at it and just say that was just something that didn't even make any sense. They added rubber coating to a handle and they say that that's an improvement. That would not count. They would need to make significant, notable, and recognizable improvements to meet this criteria. It's not just 5 of anything. They replace 2 lights with LED lights that are typically incandescent. That's not the type of upgrade we're talking about. We're talking about significant. An RV manufacturer that currently uses Trailer King tires, switching to Goodyear Endurance tires or a better tire. A trailer manufacturer that puts 6,000-pound axles on a 15,000-pound trailer, well, now maybe if they put 7,000 or 7,500-pound axles, significant improvements that help people understand immediately how those improvements will best help a customer avoid problems. That's what we're looking for. Maybe, we always talk about flexible lines to PEX lines and the types of attachments that are used, the connectors, and there are correct connectors, but manufacturers don't use them. Another really good example right there. If they continue to use a connector that's not the best connector, well, they're not going to qualify. But if they want to go through and revamp how they plumb out their system and use the correct connector, well, then that would qualify them. So things like that. If somebody switches from a rubber roof to a fiberglass roof, and they can demonstrate the improvement there, and it's a quality upgrade, well, that's a good improvement. If they can switch to a thicker frame rail, maybe that's what people are looking for. We currently use the lightest duty, the lightest frame rail, so we can make the entire RV look more beautiful and put heavier things inside of it, and that's where we reduce weight. Well, if a manufacturer says, you know what, I'm going to focus on reducing the content weight, and I'm going to make the frame stronger, or I'm going to order a stronger frame, or I'm going to work with Lippert to make a frame that's reinforced in areas, or I'm going to work with Lippert to make sure that the frames I get meet a certain criteria above and beyond what I've normally been getting. That's what I'm talking about. Tangible, realistic upgrades that impact the overall performance, longevity, reliability, towability of the RV, things that aren't just lipstick on a pig. This has to be something that is absolutely improving the RV year over year, and that's the only way to qualify. And my question to you all, the viewers, is this a good starting point? Is this something that we can get behind and say, if manufacturers are electing to do this, to be part of the program, they understand that shoppers are going to be looking for this. It's going to help them sell units. It's going to help them fix, repair, and improve their credibility with RV shoppers, and it's also something that's going to be good for the entire industry as well as the customer, especially the improvements that have to be made to customer service. I want to know, I please beg you to leave a comment below, subscribe to this channel if you agree with this, because we will constantly provide updates as we move more to a full deployment of this versus a pilot program, and I will let you know what manufacturers are willing to jump on board, because I have a feeling I'm not going to be getting a ton of emails right away. hopefully a manufacturer is willing to say, you know what, let's try this on a couple of our prototype units. Let's try this and see where it goes and see if customers really care about the improvements we're making. Again, share this with other content creators, share this with other folks if you support it. If you don't support it, I understand. Leave a comment below. I'm sure there's going to be people that will say, unless we get, the government regulating every aspect of how RVs are built, and we build these things like we build Teslas, or we build these things like we build, Lexuses, nothing's going to change. There's a lot of reasons why we don't want to go down that route. There's a lot of reasons. Mainly, a cost of an RV like this would probably quadruple in price and wouldn't even be something you could get your hands on because so few of them would be built, and that would be a problem. Instead, I'm trying to work on something that I feel will actually make a significant difference, a measurable difference, and it's something that we can start doing immediately. And hopefully we can get a groundswell of support behind this, and it will only improve the RV lifestyle, the purchasing process, and the quality of RV you get, and hopefully not have a huge impact on price. I'm hoping the manufacturers can figure a way to do this without impacting price significantly. I understand it's going to be in there, and I understand some units, especially qualifying units, may have slight price increases if they need to do that, because that's big upgrades. That's a lot of big, significant, notable upgrades, and the cost plus the fact that they can't build them as quickly, which is a good thing for a lot of folks, is definitely going to be something that impacts the consumer. But let's see what manufacturers can get behind this and possibly do it without having a huge impact on price. Anyways, guys, please leave a comment below. Again, share this with other content creators. Let them know what we're trying to do if you support it. If you don't support it, I get it. There's a lot of skeptical people out there. There's a lot of people not understanding what the motivation behind this might be. But honestly, I think it's pretty clear. There's no money in this for me to get manufacturers to do this. This is simply a way of having a recognizable program that manufacturers can get involved with if they choose, and if they meet the criteria, it means a better RV for you and better customer service for you. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish with this video. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, drop a comment below, share, let people know what we're trying to do if you support it, and hopefully we'll make changes. We'll talk to you again very soon.